Everybody, it's Gav here for GCRE. Today we have the benefit of speaking with Stace for the CRE Branding Show. Today we're going to be talking about what you are buying when you spend money on marketing. So marketing investment versus expenditure. So without further ado, let's just add Stace to the call. Stace, hi, how are you?
Hey, Gavin, I'm doing great. How are things in Switzerland today?
It was snowing. We've had heavy snowfall here, which is nice, but because then the temperature isn't so cool like it was before. It always seems to be the thing when snow falls is warmer than when it's not falling.
Okay.
So
And you like that cold weather. I know you've said that before, right?
I love it. It's fabulous for me. So it's brilliant. So what about you? Where you are in Boston on the East Coast?
Yeah, so it's a little bit cooler today than it has been. So let's say 2 or 3 days ago, we had 60-degree weather, which is really unseasonably
Wow.
warm. But today it's down in the like the low 40s, which is normal here. So Fahrenheit, of course. But it's winter. We're getting there. It's December now, and we're going to see snow soon too here. So it'll be a winter wonderland.
Definitely. Cool. So today we're going to talk about, what you're buying when you're spending money on marketing. So kind of marketing investment versus expenditure. I'll let you carry on with the show. And of course, I'll jump in when I have any questions for you.
Sure. So today I wanted to talk about an experience I had recently. And this is a real world experience of somebody, a small business owner who's weighing the costs of marketing. And I think this would be helpful for everybody watching right now to understand how to position or how to put it in your mind what you're getting when you're buying marketing services. So I got a referral from another agency, and that's not uncommon for somebody to call me up or our agency and say, hey, I've got this potential client. We can't really handle the work. Would you be interested in taking it? Or they need something that we don't actually offer. Would you take this work? So that's fairly common in the advertising agency world, is for one agency to refer work to another. So these folks came to me that way, and I didn't know them beforehand. They didn't know me, but they're a pair of business owners, and they have multiple successful business to business enterprises. But they don't do a lot of marketing. And one of the things I guess that has helped them be so successful is that they use their network of friends, family, and colleagues, people that they've worked with. So people know them, and they don't necessarily need to advertise. But they want to open a retail space. They want to open a store that's going to have an e-commerce website and a 6,000 square foot retail space. And they're looking for an angle, a hook. They want a brand. They want some sort of story behind what they're doing. And they completely understood the idea of branding. So I didn't have to sell them on that. But we talked on the phone almost an hour, the same as I'd give anybody who calls us up and needs our help. I wanted to hear their problems, their goals, their motivations, the things that they wanted for the future. And since they're local to me, they're only about 30 minutes away from my office, I said, how about I go and visit them tomorrow? So I made an appointment, and I spent the rest of the day creating a branding proposal for them. I went down, I met with them, talked about what they need, what they hope to achieve. And when it came time to go through the branding proposal, I walked through the slides, and we got to the slide. And this happens, Gavin, I don't know if this ever happens to you when you're pitching something, you eventually get to the slide where you got to ask for money, right? It's right. It eventually comes down to when you're ordering in the restaurant, eventually the bill will come.
Correct.
So I get to the slide where our cost is listed, and for this piece of work, it's about $10,000, and that's not a small project, and that's weeks of work for me and my team, and talking with my potential clients here. They looked at it, and they thought it was a lot of money, and I asked them, hey, what did you think this was going to cost? And they said they had no idea, because I've never talked to an agency before. They had nothing to compare it to. They didn't talk to any other agencies, and they weren't planning on talking to other agencies. It's just that they wanted to find out what services we offered. And I went through, I wanted to give them an education and say that this is a lot of money, but it's an investment. And eventually the conversation was over. They said, they would think about it and they would get back to me. And this is where it takes an interesting twist. So as I'm about to leave, I'm just saying, hey, so what are your next steps in launching your store? What else is going on? I'm looking at the space, a big empty box essentially. And they tell me, oh, we've got somebody coming in right after you. He's going to give us an estimate on new carpet. So I do the math in my head real quick. I say 6,000 square feet. I mean, carpet's going to cost at a minimum $2 or $3 a square foot. I'm thinking this is $12,000 to $15,000 to carpet this place at a minimum. And I say that to them. I say, hey, so the cost to carpet this is going to be far more than what branding would cost you, what this branding project would cost you. But it's going to add very little to your business. Of course, you obviously need carpet, but no one's going to come here because they've heard you got great carpeting. I mean,
right.
So I left them with that thought, and they're thinking about it. And that's what I want to talk about today is this idea of an expenditure. Like that carpet is an expenditure. It's a necessary thing. But, Gavin, it's not going to bring you new customers. It's not going to really create revenue, just something you need to have versus an investment that could multiply your money. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. So if you invest $10,000 in marketing or branding, you can create a brand that's worth 10 times or 100 times that, right? I mean, it's the thing that's going to attract people to your business. People don't visit your retail location because of the carpet. And, I guarantee you the second they leave, they won't remember what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, so how does this apply to our audience here, our commercial real estate professionals? So I was thinking, well, if you're a land developer, well, you understand the value of a piece of machinery. So you might buy an excavator that costs $200,000 or $300,000 or maybe more, but you buy that because it has the potential to earn you far more than that because you're not developing any land without a piece of machinery. It just
correct.
Or if you're a syndicator, you might want to buy some software that's going to help you underwrite a project, a building. It might cost you a few $100s, but it has the potential to save you a lot more by making good decisions. And it can help you find a great deal for you and your investors. So you say, hey, this piece of software is an investment, right? If you were buying leads, if you were a salesperson, would you spend $200 for a qualified lead when you know that it can earn you $20,000 or more? Yeah. So you would absolutely say those are investments, not expenditures. You would see the difference between those things in carpeting.
Yeah.
But you still need somebody to operate that excavator. You need to learn to use that underwriting software. And with that lead, if you win that piece of business, Gavin, well, you're still going to have to do the work to earn that $20,000. So those things, they don't make you money unless you're paying somebody, either yourself or somebody else, to do that work. And I just want to compare that to marketing when it's this investment that can work for you 24/7, right? So your brand is always operating. If you create content or a website, it's always there. So like this episode that we're going to do right now. So you and I are putting in some time to create this episode, but you're going to post it and it's always going to be available, right?
Yeah.
Every episode you've done is available for you. Your website is there. You made it once. Of course, someday you'll have to refresh it or make some additions to it, but it's always going to be there working for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, we post it or we repurpose it every few months.
Right. And you can cut it up. You can turn it into other things. You have the raw materials to create a lot of content from this hour. So it's different than that retail location that I'm describing. So I think when they open, they're expecting people to flood in. They're expecting customers to come running in.
Yes.
And some people will, like if you're in that shopping center and you see that business there, you say, oh, new business, I'll go in. Or if you're searching for their product and they have some good, maybe they bought some Google AdWords. I don't think they have, or if they have good search engine optimization, people are searching directly for that product. They might find their website, but But beyond those individuals who are absolutely looking for that thing or happen to be standing next to the building, who knows about that business?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, friends, family. I mean, how wide does that reach? How do you scale when your only customers, the only people who know about you are your customers? Remember, you need to generate awareness. I don't know if people remember from the conversion funnel show that we did two weeks ago. You got to generate awareness. You can't make a sale unless people know you exist.
Yeah.
So I want to like talk about who knows about your business, like our listeners now. Like, how wide is your reach? If you're starting an investment, a real estate investment, or if you're a broker, if you're a land developer, if you're a house flipper, if you're a syndicator, like who knows about your business? In real estate, like we tend to try to build business like one-on-one. It's, we call that like hand-to-hand combat. It's like your network, people who know your network, people who may have heard of you. But it's really difficult to scale that because if you're not in the room and if you're not actively communicating with people, they don't know you exist. So that first level of the funnel, awareness, you're not generating that. So you got to think of marketing as a megaphone. You have to think about the ability to say something and then have it amplified, whether it's in your market or around the world or anywhere. So that's the value of marketing. And I just wanted to mention also that retail store. So I'm still working on them. I had a couple of emails and they're thinking about it. They want to open before Christmas, but they've lost a week already since the proposal, and they know that this is like the key time for the type of product they're looking to sell. But I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to be able to accomplish that. So even if they come to me this week or next week, and they say, "Oh yeah, this sounds great, Stace. Let's start this process." It's not going to happen in time. It's just not possible. So they've lost an opportunity. If the holidays are their biggest time of the year, well, there'll be more holidays a year from now.
But you know what? Who gets to blame then? The marketing company gets to blame. It's like, oh, you didn't do a good job, so you didn't bring in the people.
Well,
so you always poise with that position as well.
It's funny that you say that because like marketing is not like, even if you spend money on marketing, it's not guaranteed success. It's like it's an opportunity to be competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we do get that a lot. Some people will say, oh, the marketing didn't work, or only parts of it worked, or we're not sure how well it worked. But I guarantee you that without marketing, nobody knows you exist except your friends and family. And I don't know how much you can expect them to buy your service.
In some places, even your friends and family don't even know. I always joke and laugh and say, there's a lot of people in my friends and family circle who doesn't know about GCRE. So, but then again, I like it like that sometimes. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So, I post my content to social media, and I always forget about Facebook. So just because I'm focused on LinkedIn, and that's where most of my clients come from, and I post on Twitter as well. But recently I posted some content on Facebook. It might have even been one of our episodes here, and people who know me really well said they had no idea that I was doing this. So it is interesting how we need, even somebody who does this for a living, I need to be more proactive about sharing what I'm doing with my network, and hopefully they spread it to other people.
Yeah.
But
what is it saying? A mechanic is good at fixing other people's car, but not his own.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And the shoemaker's children, they go without shoes.
Exactly.
But so marketing, like I said, it's not guaranteed success. It's an opportunity to be competitive. And you think about like what it takes to be competitive, like today, and you like, let's go back, rewind, and you say 30 years ago, everybody would say, oh, you need to have a business card. A business card is how people are going to know you. And so you'd have to hand your business card to people. And then 20 years ago, people would say, oh, you have to have a website. No one's going to find you unless you have a website. You're not going to look credible unless you have a website. And then
Yes.
10 years ago, it was like social media. You need a
Social
social media
media.
presence. Well, do you need, like Gavin, do you have a social media presence? Of course you do,
Of
right?
course we do. I don't have the
But,
business card anymore, but I do have the social media.
well, that's the thing. The tactics we use change, but the strategy is still the same to generate awareness, to get people to
Yes.
understand that we exist. So beyond a business card or a website or social media presence, those things aren't competitive. Those things aren't nice to haves. Those things are the table stakes. Those are the minimum you
Yeah.
need just to even show up as a credible business. But it's interesting how like the market changes, and they're going to be the people who your competitors out there. They're going to be the people who make the move first. The first people who had a website, the first people who started on social media, the first people who established a brand, the first people who start a podcast. And they're going to set the tone. They're going to set the bar. And you're not competing with them anymore unless you have those things. You're just not at their level. And this isn't something new that I'm saying. I mean, like you have an audience of intelligent people, I'm sure. But it's just a reminder that the stakes keep getting raised, and we have to continually change or adapt or raise our bar, right, to compete. So, I think about your business here, and there are a lot of people who are doing podcasts. First, we started with podcasts, right? These audio programs that I can listen to. And then, then there were like the video podcasts, so I can watch them on YouTube too. What you've done here is you've launched a channel. I mean, so like you've raised the bar, and you're probably one of the first movers in your industry. So anybody who's looking to do this now can't just start a podcast. They can't just have like a channel on YouTube. They have to level up, because you've raised the bar. And it's the same for any of our listeners here, like whether you're an investor, a syndicator, a land developer, a broker, whatever you're doing, there are people who are leading your industry, and you have to do whatever you have to do to be competitive with them. They're not going to slow down so that you can catch up. You have to raise your game as much as possible. So, were you going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with what you're saying. That's correct, know.
So
and then sometimes you got to go back to the old strategies as well. That works very well. There's a reason the Fortune 500 companies and them are where they are today, and the big tech companies and them. And I actually just wrote a small article about this, where, have you ever stopped and wondered why these companies and them got to the top so quick from just launching within a year or 2 years? And it was all about brand awareness. You have to have some sort of awareness for people to know that you exist. And then how you funnel it through the funnel is a different story from there.
Yeah. I heard a quote. I was reading, I was either reading an article or watching like a TED Talk a year ago. And it was, they said 30 years ago, it would take 20 years to build a brand. Today, it takes like 2 years, 2 or 3 years. I mean, it can happen very quickly.
Yeah.
And you might say to yourself, oh, okay, I can do it easily. Well, you can do it easily, but you have to do it because your competitors are absolutely doing it. And I'd be curious to know about the article that you wrote. Like, what are some of the key identifiers of those brands that excel?
Yes.
I think. Yeah, what are the things that set them apart?
I think they dare to think differently, and they dare to think that they could do it. And I think what also set them apart was that they did things, they used strategies that worked in the past before, and they brought it today. I think the problem today is a lot of people depend too much on social media. And that's kind of what my article was around. People today are too focused on social media, too many social media advertising, and not enough of some traditional methods. So one of the things I am championing, and GCRE is going to be launching the syndication network next year in 2021, is all about how can I leverage somebody else's brand or network to be able to grow my brand. So we have the same clientele, but we offer different service. So why are we not collectively working together as a collaborator, right? And that is one of the best ways to get in front of a pre-qualified, ready to use or ready to learn or ready to engage with your product or services, and nobody does it. And the reason why the Fortune 500 companies did so well and the tech startups is because they leverage the power of joint venture networks and also partnerships and also syndication networks. And Mark Zuckerberg did the same thing on the Facebook. When he launched a movie in the social network, what did he ask his friend, Edward Severin? He says, can you send this email out to the Phoenix Club or whatever it was? And as a result of that, it got thrown out into the masses, I guess, for some reason. But that was utilizing the power of a joint venture or a syndication network to be able to grow your brand. So there's many different ways today for people to grow their brand and get their awareness and get that qualified pipeline of leads, but they don't want to do it because they're too stuck in the social media and the digital world. And I'm not saying that doesn't work. It works very good for brand awareness. But when it comes to getting qualified leads, one of the problems with social media, and I do it all the time, I fill out forms and sometimes I go, oh, I'm not interested. And then the people call me up and I go, sorry, you have the wrong number. And I hang up. So you got to be able to leverage technology in a way that's going to be able to get you what you want, but don't expect it to do the whole complete job, which is exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, before you said we have to look back at the tactics that worked in the past, the tactics that worked in the past, and update them for today. And what you're talking about with leveraging somebody else's network is so similar to working one-on-one with people, like shaking hands with people. These are people who form a connection with you, a personal connection with you, and they know you. But when you're working with somebody else's network, you're getting the benefit of that relationship that already exists. Yes. So it's taking a tactic that works and scaling it. I mean, so what you're describing is like that handshake done 1,000 times, 10,000 times.
Yes.
When is that? So it's going to launch next year, you said?
Yeah, we're probably about to release it on the 4th of January. We're going to be releasing it to everybody, but it's only limited to 20 people. So it's because we want to be able to give that dedicated focus onto them. But we could talk about that another time. I don't want to take away from your show.
Sure,
but it has a lot to do with what we're talking about. Is literally leveraging the connections that you have to be able to magnify your brand and to get it in front of the people that is really qualified to use it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in the last few minutes, if we could just talk about something that you touched on before, and it was about results, and it was like, and I mentioned marketing is not a guaranteed success. It's the opportunity to be competitive, and that's a question we get from a lot of people. What will happen if I do this branding process? What will happen? Like what can you guarantee me? And honestly, I can't guarantee any results. I would be lying if I could. And anybody who says this is exactly what will happen probably isn't being upfront with you. But I can guarantee you that without a brand presence, without a marketing strategy, you are missing opportunity. You're missing the opportunity for people to find you and to understand what you do quickly. Like you have I saw a stat the other day, you have 0.05 seconds to get somebody's attention when they land on your site. They will make a decision instantly. So I can't guarantee you that customer will buy from you, but I can guarantee you if you don't have a site that is respectable and looks credible, they will walk away instantly. So there are things that we can guarantee, and there's some things that can't be guaranteed. But we see the proof in the marketplace. Those companies that put money into branding and marketing do better. So that's exactly what you're talking about with those Fortune 500s. I mean, that's the proof. When we look at, even if you look at local businesses around you, I mean, there are some who have a brand presence. They have a story. They've got a tightly woven, brand platform. They get it, and they look professional and they look credible, and it looks like it's a place you want to be part of. And they understand the idea of this experience rather than just somebody selling you a product or a service. We know from our personal lives and our professional lives that we tend to be more loyal to those companies. So I can't guarantee those, the exact results, like how much ROI you'll get, but I can guarantee you that you will appear more credible. And you have so much competition these days. You have got to level up. You've got to find a way to stand out. And so that retail store, those guys that I was talking to, I don't know how they might have some other plan. They might have some magic that I'm not aware of, but I just don't know how they were going to expect people to find them on the side of the road in this store for what they're offering. It's a kind of a niche product, but they've got this massive space. So obviously they have dreams of being big. They just haven't created a roadmap to get there. So, I mean, I see that a lot. And the thing is, like, I will always willingly offer my advice to anybody who wants to, like, who needs some insight or who has a question about how to do this or if it's worthwhile. There are people who I will say, this isn't worth it. Don't do that. Like, I had a customer yesterday, a potential customer. We were talking about building a website, and they had budgeted a lot of money. And I said, you don't need to spend that kind of money to have the website to do what you want to do. I mean, if you're thinking of a massive e-commerce website that's got wild functionality, then you might want to go down that path. But like starting out, you don't need that sort of large infrastructure. And I hope they appreciated my honesty. I hope I didn't talk myself out of a job, but I know that it's the truth, so whether I told them that or told them the truth or not, they're going to find out eventually. So I hope that they went away knowing that, there are steps you take, and you don't need to jump up to that big step there. You just need to plan that out.
No, definitely. And I think a lot of people expect marketing to be, how I should put it, the silver bullet to all their problems. But it's not. And even myself, I fall into that category sometimes, but it's also, I like to think of marketing as not a way of getting the leads in the door, but a way of getting people to just know I exist, which is what we talked about. And in the real estate world, let's kind of bring it back a little bit to home in this sense for the viewers. When people are looking at doing a property, for example, so real estate, realtors, as you guys call them in the US, we call them estate agents or immobilien here in Switzerland. They're very good at, putting together the property, getting the pictures, putting the description and stuff like that, but they're terrible at selling it, or they're terrible at positioning it out. And we see that happen all the time in real estate. Or there's a syndicator that has an opportunity, and it may very well be a very good opportunity, but the way he comes across with his messaging and everything could be totally wrong. So I think, again, people need to kind of come back to somebody like yourself and say, Stace, look, I got this syndication fund I'm setting up. We want to raise $20 million. This is what it's going to be used for. How is the best way to put it together? Rather than thinking it's going to sell itself. And I think that's kind of what your store, the potential clients that you have right now, they think it's going to sell itself. And it may very well sell itself because there's for traffic. But are they going to have the maximum amount of time on it? No. They could utilize geo-targeting or geofencing, which is a very good thing for them, especially given the holidays and people are around the malls and stuff. And that may very well work. But you've got to be able to understand when it comes to real estate is you have to have some kind of image. You have to have something that you stand for. You must have a mission. You must have, the integrity, the trust. You must have testimonials from the market and all those different things that are going to get people to come to you and say, there's 10,000 plus developers out there, 10,000 plus brokers, 10,000 syndicators out there. Why should I choose your fund? What's so great about you? And branding is about messaging. And I like the fact that you mentioned today it takes about 2 to 3 years. Actually, I heard recently it takes up to 5 years to build a solid brand. And I have to laugh most of the time when I'm on Instagram because, I have a brand. 6 months, okay, fine, you have a few thousand people following you. That's not a brand. Even the people who have 2 or 3 million followers, that's still not a brand because they've only been going a year or 2 years. That brand could crash tomorrow. Somebody could come and overtake you tomorrow. Same with GCRE TV. A brand takes a solid 5 years. And a brand is not just an image. It's trust, it's integrity, it's loyalty, and it's openness. And that's what people see when they see a brand. When you think of Apple, you think, integrity. You think quality. You think, creativity. You have to connect with that. And that does not happen overnight. So I think branding is a very, very interesting topic that everybody should be looking at, especially if you're in the real estate world, because they need tons of and I might get shot for this. But you guys need a lot of help in this category to really position yourself. Too many people want to be the speaker, or I would say the weekend warriors, as I call them, selling seminars and stuff. That is not real estate. That is not what you should be doing. You should be coming to people like Stace, who knows what they're talking about, who's been in the industry, or as one of my old business partners used to say, have all the scars of the industry to show.
Yeah.
So yes, they've done it, they've seen it, they've experienced it.
It's true. The branding and marketing is going to get people to know you exist, and it's going to get people to come to you. So because before, like if you're looking to raise $20 million, I hope you have some wealthy family and friends if you're not generating awareness with other people. But that's the first mission of branding, and then after that it takes people and converts them into long-term loyal customers and investors.
Cool. All right, Stace. Well, it was nice to do that show today with you, as always. And I look forward to having you next week again on the show. I think we'll be closing off, probably next week will be the last show we'll do before we close off for the holidays. But again, as always, it's nice to see you and talk to you. Do you have any last minute words for anybody before we close off?
Well, if you're in a position like those folks who are starting that retail store, if you have questions, I would say talk to somebody, talk to me. You can schedule time on our website, www.trustdeepagency.com. And like always, I will give you 30 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour of my time, whatever you need to get the answers that you need, so that you can make smart decisions. Okay,
cool. Stace, again, it was nice to see you and have you again on the show. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Where is it going?